no reason to be buying it. My comment is towards the people that have been chasing it in the past 2 weeks. And it's not just Micron, right? Forget Micron. Just any stock has been paralyzed. If you bought Micron at 300, there's no reason for you to be buying it on a dip from 800 to 700. But if you bought it at 770 and you're not buying it at 715, or if it goes down to the low 700s, then why did you buy it at 750, right? I think that's the broader question. And if it was for the FOMO, then obviously that's not the best reason at the end of the day. But I think we're gonna get a lot more answers to see how people are thinking of this stuff. Bitcoin 76,872. That one's still down below 2,000. Rocket Lab is $195 covered calls. My goodness. How much premium are people paying for this stuff? Goodness. By the way, for all the people that got excited about that ETF with robots, please be careful. It's down 25%. The NAV, I was looking at it over the weekend, is $7.50. The NAV is $7. Let me say that again. The net asset value of this ETF that is being touted as the best way to get exposure to robotics is $7.50. It was trading at $40 on Friday. MicroStrategy and Bitmine, at the highest of peak euphoria in crypto, got a 2x NAV. 2x NAV, I should say. On Friday, this thing was getting a 570% premium, 5.7x NAV. Today, it is still getting a 360% premium. I'm pretty bullish on humanoid robotics, but I'm not paying 3.6x the market cap of the companies that they hold for what? Say that I have exposure? No, I'm not doing it. So, this is part of the euphoria in parts of the market where you got to be a little concerned about what exactly is happening. What is net asset? What is NAV? NAV is just net asset value. So the company has $150 million of stock in Apptronik, Figure, and then like a bunch of other these robotics plays. If you equivocate that to the number of shares that are outstanding, that equals $7.50. People are buying this thing at $27.19, which is fine. I don't know why, but if you've got a reason, that's fine. It's just you're paying a hell of a premium towards that NAV. That needs to be thought about. On top of that, they can dump $2 billion of shares on you because they filed a $2 billion ATM on Friday, just like Iran has a $6 billion ATM, which they've used, I think, about $2 billion of it already. So it could be them themselves dumping some stock this morning, which is why the thing is down 24%. This is just stuff people have to be a little bit careful of. And when people get so excited about getting exposure to the hottest robotics company, it's like, okay, but how are you getting that exposure? And usually there's a catch to how you get that exposure, especially if it's not public yet. And that comes in the price of paying a pretty aggressive premium. ServiceNow 103, baby, 9%. 9%. As that is green. Admit you're using equivocate wrong. I am probably using that word wrong, but it sounds like I'm using it right, which is all that matters, to be honest. That's all that matters. Wow, I'm using it so wrong. Equivocate means to use vague, ambiguous, or intentionally misleading language to conceal the truth. I'm using it as a synonym for equals. I am using it so wrong, but from here on out, every time you hear me say equivocate, just know that Amit's interpretation of equivocate means equal, not intentionally misleading language to conceal the truth. Because that's actually a full 180 from what I'm actually trying to get it to mean. But on this show, we speak Amit language, not English. Google 40619. As that continues to go green, you're looking for equate. Yeah, but equivocate sounds cooler than equate. Like, equivocate just sounds like a dope word. Equate is like kind of boring, Representative Dwight Evans just sold American Tower, Intel, Quanta Services, and Thermo Fisher. So you've got 4 sells from some of our politicians. Trump did 3,700 trades in the months of February and March. We talked about the disclosures with the White House Committee of Ethics last week. Pretty incredible. The sitting president trading as much as he is, but he definitely bought the dip in March. Definitely bought the dip in March, and he sold the rip in February before buying the dip in March. Is Palantir getting a move? Palantir is getting a move. Your software names going a little green. brewing a little green. I bet Trump is on hood. It would be hilarious if Trump presses his Diet Coke button in the Oval Office and pulls up Robinhood, and then has the market open in the background, you know? Like, what are you going to do if he's watching the market open, if you're his advisors? Like, you can't stop him from doing that. He's the president. He can do whatever he wants. Like, he can tell you to get the hell out of the Oval Office and just chill out and watch the market open for a couple hours and then get back to work. 205 on Nebius. Little bounce. Little bounce from 200. Any reason for AAOI to be down 10% today? I don't think so. They already, wow, 170. This thing was at 230 last week. Yeah, I don't think there's a reason for any of these names to be down. There's not a reason for Micron to be down. Is Micron a worse company than what it was last week? It's just they all went up so quickly. And we're seeing those levels get tested. But even if AAOI settles down at 170, 150, it was at $20 in January, you know? So 230 probably just got extended. I don't think they diluted or anything today. They already filed for dilution 3 weeks ago. Is there a reason for MicroStrategy to be down? Yes, Bitcoin's down. That's your simple reason. Why MicroStrategy is down. Shub says I sold Nebius for Kiwi.
These drugs got me feeling so awesome.
Nebius
She got me feeling so awesome. Put the lead on the blunt and get lost. You can't pay for the flight that we on.
Whether it's Nebius, Micron, they're all in the same bucket at the end.
Man, I feel like happy.
Like, they really are.
This earth so strong, I really feel like
All in
napping.
the data center ecosystem.
Gotta run this chick, but I don't feel like trapping. But money don't sleep. Let's hit these streets.
They're all up.
Car smells so sweet. Got butt on me. Spray that Febreze. I see the police.
Google just keeps going.
Lord, I
think
pray
this
my
is
life
from,
that thing he
Berkshire.
keep.
Obviously, Berkshire
I
bought
pray
a
I
lot.
make it home in one piece. Oh shit, who that creeping in my window?
407 on the
Niggas out here playing games like Nintendo. Fuck around and get smoked up like that endo. And I ain't talking shit, no innuendo. Can't pay for the flight that we on.
I don't care. We talked about it last night. Yeah,
Run up that bag and get lost. She wanna hang with a boss. Told her the night that we on. These drugs got me feeling so awesome. She got me feeling so awesome. Put the lead on the blunt and get lost. You can't pay for the flight that we on. I can do bad on my own. Run up the trap on my own. Get off the map on my own. I cannot rent it, I own. Hit her, then leave her alone.
Felt like a
If you need it, just pick up the phone.
from the C-suite.
Got dreams of living out the states. He bought your steak on the way.
But it's up from 7.
Cartier friends on the way. Them largest states on the way.
Spot is down
I'ma
22%,
cover all the
$28.
basics. Run
Micron,
around with the
7%,
maze.
21.
Take her out on occasion. Ooh, that neck so amazing. And that money adjacent to
Poet
me.
$400 million
There's
investment.
plenty of fish in the sea. But keep that fishing shit from me. With the fishes
That
you can
$400
sleep.
million investment also is a real investment.
Life ain't always what it seems.
So whatever investor is investing in that, whatever institutional investor they got.
Can't pay for the flight that we on. Run up that bag and get lost. She wanna hang with a boss. Told her the night that we on. These drugs got me feeling so awesome. She got me feeling so awesome.
Which is why then the stock's
Put
down.
the lead on the blunt and get lost.
It's a volatile name, dude. And South Koreans are in it heavy. So if this thing pump up to 25 again for whatever reason, yeah, it could. I mean, there's just a lot of excitement
Mako could take a longer.
in the name. ASPS 8690, that's up 4%. SPY 740, so SPY flipping a big green. That's getting some more love. Adobe as well getting some love. Credo, this one is ran like crazy. Credo.
Do
down
you ever
7%.
feel that you ever fall too high to walk?
A little bit more. Minted to get the new Swatch. Dude, what is this Swatch thing that's going through? Swatch and Audemars Piguet Royal Pop Tea. I've been seeing pictures.
Never seemed so long. I never.
Who freaking cares?
Left that out of your service.
Like, I don't get it. I really don't get why people are freaking out about this. Yeah, look at this stuff, dude. People are freaking crowding into stores for this shit.
Time to catch another flight, bro. Time to catch another flight. Never love her cause she my fault. Hey, don't be playing with my heart, oh. Please don't turn it to the heart. Wanna have to get the glove. Time to catch another flight, bro. Never love her cause she my fault. Hey, don't be playing with my heart, oh. Put your ass on the block. You don't know when to stop. Once upon a time, I wanted you to be my queen. Smile like the light, give me life. Like when I breathe, you ain't begging for the cheese and ain't begging to be pleased. And still I try to see you rise and give you everything. I could regret it, but you know that I don't regret a thing. I freak up in them sheets. She get wetter when a nigga sing. Nah, I'm thinking about all the possibilities. Fall in love again or hit it, then I leave. Yeah, I had all the chances to prove. Now you found love again. Now we can't even talk, cause we can't be more than friends. Like, where do I begin? Will I ever find this love again? Time to catch another flight, bro.
It looks exactly the same.
Never love her cause she my fault. Hey, don't be playing with my heart, oh. Please don't turn it to the heart. Wanna have to get the glove. Time to catch another flight, bro. Never love her cause she my fault. Hey, don't be playing with my heart, oh. Put your ass on the block, cause you don't know when to. Time to catch another flight, bro. Never love her cause she my fault. And don't be playing with my heart, oh. Put your ass on the block, cause you don't know when to stop.
Art of Mars Paget Swatch collaboration. Like, I've got better things to do right now. Just like, I don't know. I've never been this obsessed with a consumer product. Look at this, people. Look, this is Singapore. People are waiting at 3 a.m. for this store to open. This is ridiculous. What are you doing? I just have. I'm just so.
I got dope on me, still smoking that tree. And my tank on full, but I treat it like E.
Then again,
I'm just trying to get paid.
I'm not trying to judge.
Get some money. Shout to give me brain. Get a real good dummy. That bitch so bad, that bitch
Coinbase
so thick, that bitch so
192.
pretty. I sip that drink, I sip that mud, that bitch so dirty. I serve that shit that I have you up.
This is really the difference, though, between investors
I'm a
and
cold
consumers.
motherfucker, man. I really should
Investors
have
are
been
like,
a
all right, I'm not
McFlirt.
going to stay in line.
When-
I'll stay in line. Consumers that are more like, PayPal right there, 45.
Give her half a
Lord
bag, she
doesn't
bring me
have
back 50. Bring me all that. Got your baby mama in the trap with me. If the law come, they gon' have to catch me.
But it is what it is.
In a new bitch, just
Figma
another
24.
Clean as fuck when I'm
That's up
stepping
5
out. I'm a
Yeah,
trendsetter when I
G-Shock
walk
and
through.
Chill.
The cash money, talking about that baby type.
Shopify 102. That one's looking green.
Acting hard, you can't see me. Crystal clear, diamond shining, 3D, TV, HD with the bright lights in the night light.
Okay, Swatch is public. They're only up 22% this year. I feel like this flat. Wow. But if you're in that line to resell it, I get it. If you're in that line because you really just want to wear it, it'll make your look cool. Sandis down 6% here. That's going down.
Can you hear me now? My mic was turned down.
Lunar's down 1. Redwire's down 4. Dude, Redwire was up 15 this morning. That one flipped hard. Redwire down 4%. 22% is a lot in the watch. Yeah, but it feels like the hype is so
Yeah.
real. You know, in this environment, it's not going to be but that is fair. That is 611
Everything dumped.
Google continuing to just push higher, dude. What is going on with this thing? I get Berkshire bought more, but my goodness, 408, 6. Honestly, Ackman could have waited. Ackman probably sold this thing at like below 300 if he sold in
What the hell is Bill?
Maybe he got 300. He could have waited till now. Wait till Berkshire doubled down, sold it at 400, and bought Microsoft, unless he got the lows on Microsoft. But if he didn't, if he bought Microsoft at the same price, which is where it was,
Oh, this is a new coin.
he missed out on a lot of money. Obviously, he can't find it perfect. By the way, have people realized Ackman has just become a retail investor at this point? His portfolio is Amazon, Meta, Microsoft, and Apple. And you have a little bit of like, the dude is just buying up, beating up Mag 7s when their multiples compress below 20 and rising back up.
Shoot, this might just start breaking down.
It's kind of hilarious. I mean, the guy manages $20 billion. That's his strategy. Which is, that's what a lot of regulators do. Rock Lab still up on the day. Green. MongoDB, that's moving with your software names. MDB, that is wow, 7%. Okay, folks, can we say it's a software rotation today? Can we say that? IGV, yep, 1.3. SMH is down probably 1.5. SMH down 1.1.
Damn.
I think we can say it's a software rotation, at least for now. Semis are all red except on
18% move?
4 cents going to go red. Software is all green except Oracle, which is technically a semiconductor name to an extent, and then Twilio, which is really red. I think we can say it. It's a rotation. At least for now. Turns pretty quickly.
Man, if we're gonna hold right here, they're gonna bring this up. We got this daily golden pocket that we're trading up under right now, and all we need to do is get back above it. I would like to get short up here at the weekly.
Here's your heat map. Pretty green except for semis, obviously. Energy's up. Financial, I'm still concerned that XLF is doing nothing. Like this is the one thing that really concerns me when I look at financials. I'm like, why are these guys? We're about to have record lows.
Maybe we come back up here and tag previous daily golden pocket on Saturday.
Chad says it's gonna make a living.
Watch that.
Actually, I make a living. Not speaking, I make performance. And so the emphasis on my speech is a performance of
I guess we don't have to come back up here right now. What is this? Because we've already came up here and took this out.
S&P 740. You know, I was actually talking to my mom about that over the weekend because one of her friend's sons just got into an Ivy League. And I was like, Mom, I wanted that waitlist from Harvard. She was like, yeah, I was so happy I didn't get in. I was like, wow, how would I have gotten to this point in life if I went to Harvard? Like, my life would have been so boring if I went to Harvard. I would not have become a YouTuber. I would not have been making music videos. I would not have been building a financial media brand. Like, there's no way I would have found myself on this track. I needed to go to a state school, lose at a bunch of different stuff, try a bunch of things, fail, take risks, feel like I had a chip on my shoulder. If I went to Harvard,
Nvidia
some consulting,
weekly GP right here.
nice six-figure salary, feeling like
We're back at Daily GP for this. We took this a while
like, what if
ago.
your life would have been even better? Like, I don't think my life would have been better, dude. Like, I really do think the coolest
Might get
version of
long
life
here.
now.
Might get long on the video.
Maybe there would have been more money. Maybe there would have been more prestige, but now that is coach as a way of trying to deal with the fact that Harvard rejected me, but still. S&P is 740 as that continues to go. Why does Google just keep going? Are you guys buying Google today? Oh my goodness, 408.
Shoulder to pull up. I should have talked chemistry.
I guess the toots are following virtue. Dude, these institutions are so crazy. They just follow each other. All of us buying today, this is not retail, this is institutional. They're all just following Bunker. That's it. And Microsoft, they're all just following Apple. And Apple is honestly just following the NASDAQ. Like, the only one, quite frankly, that has shown alpha this year is Google. And I know people are a little bit biased, but the only one that's taken some places and done things differently. Everyone else is just buying the same thing. Cash has performative coke. Okay, maybe. Qualcomm did that shipping. Qualcomm, wow, below 200. This one defended 200 all of last week. There you go. There's your first dip below 200. This was at 130 a month ago. Now it's at 156. It's still up a lot. Iran, are we below 50? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Nebius still hold. The fact that Nebius is over 200 and Iran is below 50 is just for
And I could have drew that better.
It just is. I can't even sugarcoat it. It just is. CoreWeave almost below 100. Iran's got to get a deal, bro. This shit is getting. This shit is becoming a bloodbath when it comes to the neoclouds. Like, they gotta get a freaking deal. APLD, that's also down 7.2. Rare earths are taking a hit today. Okay, so everything in the semis. Wow, USA rare earths down 9%. CRML is down 7.1%.
Words never seem so hard.
That's ugly.
Never felt
That is
so
ugly. TikTok, YouTube, and Snapchat settled ahead of June's landmark social media trial on alleged harms in schools, which centers on claims that addiction to the top platforms has upended learning across America.
that I can't go on.
Meta will still go to trial. Wow, TikTok and Google probably, and Snapchat probably paid a hefty fine to get out of that lawsuit. I kind of like that Zucks is saying, screw it. You guys aren't going to bully us. Do you really want to blame Instagram for why kids are not studying in school versus the parents? Then sure. We're going to freaking go to trial. I wish Zucks, he's never said this as explicitly. I wish one day, in front of Congress, he just says, Senator, we've got a lot of bad parents in the United States of America. Because to blame my product as the reason for why kids aren't doing
It's
well.
amazing, yeah.
Now, he can't say that. He can't do it because but obviously, I think he wants to say, are you really blaming Instagram and Facebook and WhatsApp for why kids are stupid? Over the failing school system? Over bad parenting? Like, really, that's what you want to blame my app as the reason for it? If I was Zucks, I would say that, but I'm not Zucks, so I can't say that. But he probably can't say that. PayPal, 1.2% as well. Netflix, is that green today? Netflix almost 90. It's also trying to go green as well. Admit you're not a parent, you wouldn't know. Look, that's
Everything gonna
fair.
dump today.
I don't think you have to be a parent to be like, hey, like, You know, it's like if you have a kid and they're obsessed with playing video games, and you can see that they're becoming an idiot by playing video games all day and not studying for their their tests and their scores and putting in the effort. Get rid of their video games. You're a parent. Like, throw away the video games. I don't care how much they cry. Like, at some point, you got to put your foot down. My mom put her foot down with me many times when I was younger. So if you think your kid's obsessed with Instagram, okay, you gotta take some actions here as a parent. I mean, you can't blame the 12-year-old kid. I think that's what Zucks is trying to say. But, you know, obviously there are different perspectives, and he can't say that in front of Congress. Wow, Micron below 710 again. 708 right there. That's down 2%. That's also getting hits. All right, so Micron continuing with the red that we're seeing from yesterday. CoreWeave 5.6. You don't have to be a parent to have opinions on parenting. We were all kids once. Yeah, that's also true, dude. People are like, you have to be a parent to have opinions on parenting. Well, you were also a kid, and I also have seen how my parents raised me. And there were a lot of things they did that I don't care what anyone says. You don't have to have a kid to know that, oh, if your parents raised you in a certain way, some things they did were good that I can critique, or I can praise. Some things they did were bad that I can critique. And so, like, yeah, as a parent, I mean, there are some moments where you have to put your foot down. And if we blame Facebook for everything, you know, we got to blame Netflix for everything or YouTube for everything. Like, that's just absurd in a society to blame these media companies for every issue that we have. And the politicians love it because then they don't have to take any responsibility over failing school systems, which are their fault, if we're going to be honest. They can blame the tech companies. And the tech companies have to take the beating and pay all the fines because of, you know, the political backlash that they get. Nebius right there, 201. As that's down 8% still. Okay, what other macro news do we have today? I don't think we have a ton of it. We're not getting JOLTS this week. We're not getting CPI or PPI. We are not getting jobs data. We already had the non-farm payrolls last week, and they were actually way better than expected. So jobs have been doing okay. Netflix still up right here at 89. CRML getting hit pretty badly. Qualcomm still getting hit pretty badly. Dude, that means the pre-market move was completely fake. The pre-market move was completely fake. Micron was $760 in the pre-market. It's at 707. And it was probably fake because of these Iran headlines that led the market to believe that we're getting some level of retracement. And we're not. Especially because the US hasn't confirmed any of that stuff. Oil was at 103. Oil is at 104.8. Oil's going back up. The 10-year going back up. It touched 700 overnight. Yeah, it definitely touched below those levels last night, or close to those levels last night.
Oil breaks out of this daily GP.
Breakthrough. Market trades. Let's take a look at that.
Bitcoin's
We just got
lower.
that along with home builder sentiment. That just came in as well.
Good morning, Diana.
Good morning, Carl. Home builder sentiment in the market for single-family homes rose 3 points in May to 37 on the NAHB Wells Fargo Index. That's a beat. The street was looking for unchanged. Still, anything below 50 is considered negative. The index stood at 34 last May, and that's when mortgage rates were hovering around 7%. Now, we're lower now, but not a lot lower, and rates have been rising in the past week. The NAHB cited rates as well as rising gas prices and economic uncertainty related to the war in Iran, which all continue to dampen buyer demand. Now, of the index's three components, all were higher by 3 points. Current sales conditions to 40, buyer traffic to 25, and future sales expectations rose 3 points to 45. The survey also found fewer builders cutting prices in May, 32% compared with 36% in April. The use of sales incentives was 61% in May. That is up slightly from 60% in April. Sarah, we seem to be seeing a little bit of a late spring surge, according to the builders.
Okay, that's hopeful.
Damn,
Thank you,
all the
Diana.
stocks
Diana
dumping?
Olek. We'll take it. I'll tee off of Diana's
going on?
talk about mortgage rates, and I think we have to hit global bond yields because there has been this move higher, and
Sam,
it's not
all
just
the
in the
stocks
US,
dumping, bro. What's
it's in
going
the
on,
UK,
man?
it's in Japan, And the moves are a little bit more
Nvidia's
subdued
not even
today,
holding
but
up.
this
It's like
continues
it's got to hold
a
up
move
right
that
here at
we have
220.
seen over the last few sessions that now has, I mean, long bond yields. The 30-year U.S. bond yield most elevated since 2007. We got the German 30-year at the highest in 15 years. In Japan, the 30-year is its highest ever.
Micron loses 700 for the first time. We'll get back to this bond yield stuff in a second. In a month, is that correct? Last time we were at 698. No, it was May 8th. Sorry. So 10 days. Dude, it feels like Micron's been above 700 for like 10 years. It's been 10 days. Okay, so in 10 days, we went from 698 to 818. And now you're seeing some of that red right there. Nebius, there she goes, down 10. Google, even 408 to 402. So that's algos coming in now. Now you know that, I mean, the fact that Google had that big of a move and now it's getting sold off. That's the market getting hit. What about ServiceNow? Even ServiceNow is getting hit. That's market-based algos. That's not even sector-based algos now.
That's
Now
why I love
everything's at the mercy of going red. Grab somehow flipped green in the midst of that. Hims is down 9. CoreWeave is down 6.4. You're so dramatic. I'm a performer. I have to be dramatic. That's what I do. No, but in all seriousness, like when you're seeing this much red across every sector, that's obviously some of the algos coming in more. Palantir also just flipped red. The robot ETF down 30%. Corning down 5. Let's get Corning to 160, dude. Let's get it to 160. Again, the Nokia Substack will be out today. The CoreWeave Substack
Come
will
on,
probably be out on
Nvidia.
Wednesday.
Like, bro, if you're gonna bounce, bro, you need to bounce
I'm very
now.
bullish on Corning. Like, I've talked to a bunch of people over the weekend
I
about
guess
this
I don't
name,
have
started
to.
doing some deeper due
Let's see.
diligence. Let's get this to a real level where buying the
I
dip
don't have so many
would
alerts.
actually be enticing. Salesforce up 3. You got a red candle, but it is up 3, still in the midst of this red. Nokia down 2. BlackBerry still up 4. Intuit's up 2. So the software names are still green, even though they have candles to the downside.
All right, I
The
can actually we can
semiconductor
come
names are
down a
just
little bit lower.
straight up going
If
red.
we got
Nvidia
to.
221. AMD. AMD was just at 440, bro. Such fakes across these green candles. Now it's at 415.
Yeah, bro, everything's stopping.
SoFi 1588. Can you name 5 players on the Knicks? I can name Jalen Brunson, and that's probably it. Anobi or something. Or something. Oh, Cat Williams.
Google
that's the
has
only
found some hope.
Netflix 89. Iren down 6. Qualcomm down 3. Micron just above 700. But really fighting for those levels. VIX is up 2%. Again, for those asking why this sell-off, I don't think it has to do with VIX or oil. I think it does have to do a little bit with bond yields, which we'll look at in a second. But I think it's really a continuation of that Friday momentum to the downside. I mean, it just kind of looks like the semis want to take a breather, and maybe that's what we're seeing. But
Yeah, I knew Monday was gonna be spicy. Shit,
wait,
Tuesday might be
sorry,
spicy
it's
too
not
with
Cat, wait,
Iran
but his
opening back
name
up
is
in
Cat,
markets.
right? Hold on. Oh my God, I can't believe I said that.
They're not completely
sorry,
nuking
Carl Anthony
Bitcoin right
Town.
now, so
But they call him
that.
Cat. That's why. That was bad. That was actually really bad. That was really bad. They call him Cat though. They like. Okay, let's talk about bond yields. And let's hope you guys forget about this in the next 5 minutes.
Since
Yeah,
the
I wish I
30-year
would've turned it
was
on a
first
second
sold in
ago.
Japan back to 1999. Why is this happening? Well, the common thread here is that the inflation picture is elevated, right? The longer the war goes on, the higher oil prices stay, the more these
I did log
countries
in
and
video.
economies have to deal with higher inflation. But there's also fiscal concerns that are right front and center, especially in the UK, where there's a leadership challenge with Keir Starmer. And of course, there are questions about the fiscal picture there in Japan as well. This new budget that has to deal with elevated commodity costs means maybe we'll see have to see new supply, more bond sales in Japan. They have to raise more debt. That's always a concern. These are very indebted countries, high debt to GDP in the United
Damn,
States as well.
the
But
bot
inflation
already
is the
hit
common thing.
its
the
goal
reason
for
I'm
the day.
watching this really
What the hell?
carefully is because you've got a bit of a disconnect between bonds and stocks. Bonds are telling you, worried about inflation, worried that central banks aren't going to be able to cut, may even have to hike. Stocks are hanging in just fine. Usually, stock market doesn't like to see higher bond yields, but this stock market has been okay with it. Why? Well, AI and earnings. I mean, I think we have to just show you what's happening. Citigroup has a great chart of earnings expectations.
Again, when yields go up, stocks shouldn't be going up with it. But the earnings expectations, it's so repetitive. We keep saying it over and over again, but that really is the story why the markets are holding on.
And just what usually
shit
happens
blowing
this
so
time of
slow.
year with earnings expectations and what's happening now with earnings expectations. Now is the purple, which is sharply higher than everybody else, which shows that corporate America is killing it right now. And the expectations are that the earnings. So something's got to give, right? We have this strong earnings, strong stocks, but high bond yields,
And I got stopped
worries
out.
of inflation.
Think this is gonna
Which one is
come
going to
down.
impact who the most?
Yeah.
Ultimately, like, our stock's going to have to catch down at some point
Yeah.
with these rising bond yields.
B of A today, Savita takes her 2026 number to $335 in EPS. S&P earnings, that's 22% growth. Meantime, to your point about stocks and yields, thanks Schwab, the rolling 30-day correlation between
The
stocks
spine
and
about
the
to dump.
10-year is deeply negative and at the lowest since '99.
Which is why the market is as high as it is. So if you take $335 a share from Bank of America, you put a 25 multiple on it, I mean, you get to 8250 on the S&P. If you put a 27 multiple on it, which is I think kind of where we're at right now, you get to 9,000. Not this year, but next year. So you still, which means you're getting
That's
closer
my
to
goal right here.
levels that are significantly higher, especially if you pull forward that growth, which means theoretically it could happen this year. Microsoft's still red. And I think that's why the market continues to be a bit more bullish. Ford is discussing deals for military trucks in Europe and North America. Wow. Has Ford ever sold military trucks to Europe? I don't think they've ever done. No, they have. But has it happened recently? Like, is that a major part of their business? Because that's something where they, obviously World War II, sure, but excluding World War II, like in the past, 10 years, forget 10 years, 5 years of earnings.
Man, if SPY is about to
We've seen
dump,
Europe military
then
trucks
everything is
basically
gonna
convert
die.
towards businesses. Trump just posted, if Iran surrenders and admits their navy is gone and resting at the bottom of the sea, and their air force is no longer with us, and if their entire military walks out of Tehran, weapons dropped and hands held high, each shouting, I surrender, while vividly waving the representative white flag, and if their entire remaining leadership signs all necessary documents of surrender and admit their defeat to the great, powerful, and force of the magnificent USA, the failing New York Times, the China Street Journal, aka the Wall Street Journal, corrupt and now irrelevant CNN, and all members of the fake news media, will headline that Iran had a masterful and brilliant victory over the United States of America. It wasn't even close. The Democrats and media have totally lost their way. They have gone absolutely crazy. President DJT. I was wondering where he was going with that for a second, because I thought he was going to say, I need Iran to do XYZ, waving of the flag, walking out,
Bruh.
saying I surrender in order for him to release the sanctions. I thought that was
This
gonna be
man
the
is on
punchline.
several.
But obviously the punchline ended up being the fake news media. So, okay, that was not really the tweet we wanted. The tweet we wanted was a confirmation of the headlines in the morning, which is that Iran is
Look at
getting close
Nvidia's
to a
trying to
deal
hold
and they're
right
ready to
here.
freeze their nuclear ambitions. That is not necessarily what Trump said. However, Trump did, I guess, kind of say that. I mean, I'm really reaching here, but I think he's it's almost like he's setting up the good news, and he's trying to frame the narrative as like, hey, I'm about to drop good news, but when I drop it, just know the media is going to spin it and act like it's not good news, which he did before the tariffs as well, pretty vividly. And so maybe there's a world in which he's trying to blame the fake news media because he's about to drop the actual news we're all waiting for, and he just wants his base to be comfortable about interpreting the news. But that's also probably a lot of cope on my end. So we got to see. We'll follow it throughout the day. NVIDIA 222.45 as that continues to go red. Okay, so we've all forgot about the Cat Williams thing, right? We're all done with that. We don't have to bring that up anymore. We got a Trump tweet. That Trump tweet came in handy, bro. We needed needed that to help distract. We need another big market event. We need another big thing
Oh, that's
we
a
can point
GPS.
to
I'm not
that everyone
Yeah,
forgets
that's
about
cool.
that. I still see some comments about it. We need to forget that ever happened. Dude, his name is, they call him Cat. I really freaking thought, like, I just have, I don't know. I don't know how the Williams part came out.
What are these?
Thoughts on buying CoreWeave here over Nebius? So our boy Tanner just took a position in CoreWeave. Now he's had Nebius for a while. I think he bought it like 102, 103, so basically at the same price. Look, I think Jose's analysis on CoreWeave is really strong, and I think at the end of the day, if you believe in the compute shortage, then CoreWeave, Nebius are going to be big winners. However, yeah, Nebius has run a lot, and it's now valued more than CoreWeave. So, I mean,
Man,
is CoreWeave a little bit more
I
attractive
think we
from a
about to
valuation
dump, bro.
perspective? Maybe, but Nebius also has a lot less debt
I
than
don't think this
CoreWeave.
shit is gonna hold.
So I don't know. You got to get really in the weeds and see which one you think. Obviously, Nvidia is a way bigger supporter of CoreWeave than Nebius, and so you have that with you, right? If CoreWeave fails, then Nvidia is probably going to really try to help it, and if CoreWeave succeeds, Nvidia is going to try to uplift them as well. So if it's literally CoreWeave or Nebius right now, I mean, maybe CoreWeave just because Nebius has run like crazy and CoreWeave hasn't. But from a diversified, holistic view, I think Nebius has a lot more going for it than just GPU licensing. Now, CoreWeave has a lot more of that core business. They have 100 billion in backlog. Nebius does not, but Nebius has AV Ride, ClickHouse. Like they have so many different elements to it that are a bit more exciting. Micron back down 695, continuing to get red. I ran 49.45. That is also continuing to go red. Jace, thank you for the super chat. I just said currently right now in a legal call with a client. You're a bad influence. This super chat is sponsored by CrowdStrike Games. Thank you. You know, I think that whatever legal call you were on, Jace, you really stressed the point of it happening.
Like we
whatever
really need
it
to like
is
bounce right here.
now, because you also reiterated it with
Look
the
at this
current
monthly
legal right now.
deviation.
That's kind of the whole point. That's why the motto is the time is currently right now. The whole point is CRN. It's happening now. You have to take advantage of the moment now. So hopefully that legal call went well and the person you were talking to understands the urgency
Let me open up my breakout.
around your endeavors. Dude, I'm giving parenting advice today. I'm giving legal advice today. And I'm, referencing celebrities as basketball players today.
That Friday low, but not until we break that trend. Someone just asked me what's for lunch. I haven't decided yet. So it's Victoria Day
Yeah, we
here.
don't got,
Yeah, it's Victoria Day here in Canada, so it's a holiday. So we're the only ones in the office. Like the show, the back office is all gone because it's a holiday. There's some like skeleton crew and then remote support because obviously the markets are still trading. U.S. markets are trading, but we don't get the caterer today. So we had no breakfast. We don't get the catered lunch. We'll have to go sort of fend for ourselves.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm gonna grab. You guys, what should I? What?
Hunting, be a hunter.
What are you getting for lunch?
Well, man, I'm on the show.
Oh shoot, never mind.
Yeah.
You want me to pick you up something?
No, I'll be all right, man. I was thinking about sending Ramin maybe to get me a BLT from Tim Hortons and some soup or something along those lines.
BLT.
Yeah.
Tim Hortons, huh? Okay.
Well, I mean, that's the only thing that's close. I don't want to make her. What'd you say? I didn't hear what she said. You hear what she said?
She just said something about a service fee.
Oh yeah, that's service fee.
How
no
much
problem.
for a service fee,
How
Ramin?
much for a service fee? $40.
$40 service fee. Ramin.
How would I get you a
Ramin.
BLT?
Ramin, $40 service fee
That's
for
crazy,
lunch?
man.
I'm gonna take this short.
Okay, first of all, those are the crack
Came
prices.
up here and
right?
tap
Yeah,
daily.
We're
crack
not talking
prices.
We
about
just
crack
gonna put them
prices,
down.
all right? You gotta.
See, like if I had $40 service
Chill,
fee,
Winston.
it better get fed to me too.
$40.
Yeah, that's crazy. $40.
Yeah,
Yeah, there was like, ew. Are you kidding? Yeah, pizza party? No, we're not gonna eat any pizza out here because we gotta go for a run after the day is done,
I
man.
could go
Nice
for
sun.
I could go for a slice.
You gonna get a Nova
Whose
slice?
idea was pizza? I could rock with that. Let's go to Adair for Money Talks. That's not a bad idea.
because the food we're going to buy costs, you guessed it, money. Let's take a look here at the DXY. 1, 2, 3, 4 straight sessions to the upside. We're breaking that 4-day win streak as the USD comes into this familiar level of, now I guess prior support certainly becoming resistance, and that's going to be that area around 99.4, 99.3-esque. We reached that level, then we pull back lower, currently trading around 99s. Now, it's worth noting we have not broken the lows from Friday session. So still above that level, but definitely distinctly different compared to that 4-day win streak we had to end last week. It's a pretty light week when it comes to economic data, as I mentioned a couple times now. Fed's Venable spoke this morning, first time ever. I didn't even see any of those comments come through, so likely nothing related to the market or related to rates. Get more Fed speak throughout the week, but again, nothing too massive. Let's take a look here, though, at the CME Fed Watch tool. Still seeing 99.2, so basically 100% chance here that rates will be held in this meeting. That's going to be basically a month from today, June 17th. We do get the minutes from the meeting that we had in April. Those are going to be coming out later. But what's also interesting here is we're seeing continued increase here in the chance of rate hikes. Now, as of last week, I know I mentioned, I said we're starting to see rate hike odds come through in March
Mine
and
may
then
bounce right
go back
here.
to holding rates in the latter half of the
We
year.
got this
That has
support
changed.
holding.
Now we're seeing rate hikes begin in March 2027 and then hold throughout the end of 2027. So chance here, according to the CME Fed Watch tool, we could just get rates held for, or rates raised for pretty much all of the next year. Back to you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dara. Well, we just had USO just did it, so when I mean it, this. USO is trying to break this trend back in. That's gonna signal, that's the signal I was looking for. It worked along, you're getting Alphabet here, Google's breaking out above this 405. Come on, come on. Tappy, tap, tap, tap. Okay, just trying to get, it just got in at the 405 level. I don't know if I want to give this to VWAP. Like, there's a couple of ways to look at it. Boom,
This
there's
might
a
be about
VWAP
to happen
test.
across the board.
There's the higher low it put in. So if I'm buying this break, I'm really giving it to that bar and not just automatically through to VWAP. It's been a relatively weak market, so I want to have longs with tighter stops than normal would be the best way to think about it. So I'll stop out under that bar. VWAP's a line on a chart. I want to sort of go with the structure that's been working. And if we continue higher, SMCI, that's something I would like to maybe short off of VWAP if we get there. Like this one to me is like a short till it's not. So I'd give this one into like VWAP or 3050, and then I'd try to jump into the short. We'll see. Just like that Google a little bit better. There's a duck. I don't know how that name got through, but I'm not going to say it. How did YouTube not pick that one up?
Which one?
Well, you'll see it when it's. There's a duck in the chat. IBM was the trade of the day off the 200
What's their
SMA.
name, man? How
How is that? It doesn't even make any sense how that name got held up. Yeah, why is IBM so relatively strong? It could be that the software plays. What's the IVG saying? I don't know if the IGV is looking any good. I would have imagined not so much here. Yeah, holding up relatively well. So I can see maybe that's Bitcoin. That Bitcoin trend break as well. I'm kind
Apple maybe
I know
might
you're
do
in it,
something
but
like
that's something else I'm looking at.
Yeah.
But yeah, why is IBM so incredibly strong? Good question. Is it finally made a bottom? Have we finally made the bottom on IBM? All it took was retracing all the way back to the beginning of last year's support. Is that it? And now it's going to be good in IBM? I hope so. I still own IBM shares. I've had IBM shares for a very long time. I've been waiting for some kind of a chance for this trend to abate. But I still look at it as that's a pretty weak looking chart. I think it needs to get back above the 50 for me to jump in on it. Yeah. Unless I'm not that big of a fan.
Yeah.
These prices. It's strong today, but without something better looking on the daily, I might stay away. I haven't reloaded that thing in quite some time, and I'm looking for that spot to do so. So SMCI doesn't even get through 30. Well, I guess we're shorting it. Forget about, if you can't get VWAP, then I got to short the lower high that it's giving me, which is right in here on SMCI.
Go D Westmeyer. Nice work, man.
What you saying?
He's all out of those Intel puts. Glad that you rocked and rolled on those ones. Nice movement there as Intel starting to sell down to 107. See, that's the thing, right? Like he's buying $100 puts in the underlying asset. It's trading at $107, but yet he's up 140 probably +% at this point on the contract. So really nice play. This is the trend line that Neil's referring to here on IBIT for a potential long. So you can see consecutive lower highs throughout this little bit of a whipsaw move, but nonetheless multiple touches here to the downside, and 43.20 is what it's starting to print. So number one op is a pretty good name. Yeah, I like that one. Jesse won number one op. Joe's number one op. Yeah, I like that. Anyways, aside from that, guys, ASTS printing 82.33. NVDA still forming somewhat of a bottom right now, consolidating around that 220, 222 marker for the past half an hour or so. Now, where's my next target? 43.10 here on IBIT. Let's pull up the daily on this. As soon as I seen this break, I'm like, uh-oh. This can get pretty ugly because a strong gap down, obviously Bitcoin trading 24/7, but a strong gap down within IBIT right here, guys, that didn't get filled. So that can just display some weakness, but this trend line being absolutely snapped, we can remove this one and this level right here, so we can just clean up our chart a little bit and then just go on why I was thinking short. I thought we would get the recovery, so I had maybe like I'll classify as an if and then statement on this. If it did decide to break VWAP and climb higher, then maybe it would have filled this gap, but it did not. So sure enough, we get that continuation to the downside, but you can see multiple touches here. And then as of last week is when it actually broke through this trend line, sat on the backside of it. And then now you're at a key support level, roughly, or a key pivot level of 42.52. And it looks like it wants to slide a little bit more there. So some weakness in Bitcoin. And with that being said, I don't even need to look at the Ethereums or the meme coins. They're gonna probably be relatively weak as well too.
This is a comment that we can give a quick answer to. It's a pretty simple one, but before I do, not going to care about VWAP here. This play was a long breaking there to this trend. So once you lose the trend line, you can hold VWAP, but if I'm trading off the trend, then that's what I have to respect. Victoria Day, it's literally like, it's like kind of like, think of it like the start of summer, and it's just in honor of Queen Victoria.
Yeah.
Right? So obviously, like a lot of other places, Canada was British colony and therefore still has holidays reflecting the Queen. That's it. There's nothing crazy about it.
Yeah, there's nothing.
Next week you guys get Memorial Day. It's not really along those lines. It's literally Queen Victoria Day.
Yeah, just to give
here in Canada. That's the reason
folks
for the holiday. Is what it is.
Home a day off.
And some people are like, oh, it still is. We have some. What is it like? We still have some semblances of the monarchy in the system, but there's no actual official power left.
No power.
Don't get me started on the notion of monarchy. If I get, I'm just gonna let that go.
Yeah, it was. We could stop. Yeah. We can get you.
How the you know what? Who cares? There's only 2 minutes left.
Yeah. Oh, I should maybe.
How is it? We're in 2026.
How do we have a king
and we still believe in kings and queens? What are we doing? What are we
question?
Well, how is it even? It's absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
All right, guys, I'm gonna mosey on over to the next day. We're gonna get ready for the midday with Sharif and let's get out a couple of things here.
Get it.
Start the transfer.
Uh-oh, we're going higher now? We are. Intel just broke trend. SMCI is trying to break trend. I know it's a tight stop. Like, if you ever see me and like, that's a really tight, why would you have a stop so tight? Well, because I want to be able to take a shot up at VWAP. One of the things I was saying this morning was, if I'm going to have a situation where one winning trade is going to be able to make up for all of the losses, it's usually because I'm not giving a ridiculous amount of room to a shot. Right? So if I'm trading this little pullback off here, gonna give it a tight stop and wait for it to press in there for the bigger trade. And then if I get one short that works into the low of the day, I could probably lose 2 or 3 times. Everyone's gonna be different. That's again just gonna be my style. You're like, well, it's too tight of a stop. I don't think it's too tight of a stop. It allows me to take multiple shots with it there. I always wanna make sure we explain what each trade's goal is. Like, you should be able to say, okay, this is what I'm looking for, this is what my entry is, this is where my out's gonna be. Do I want to take this? Do I want to take short in this 1 time, 2 times, 3 times? For myself, if it's underneath the volume weighted average price, I'm taking multiple shots at it, especially if it's trending down. If I'm fighting the trend, sometimes I don't want to give it too many opportunities. I know there's lots of kings and queens in Europe and all that stuff. And I understand a lot of it's still ceremonial, or not ceremonial, but symbolic. Thank you, Sharif. That's the word I'm looking for. It's just weird that we've moved so far forward, and there's still this thing by you were born to this family, so therefore there's some inherent power and you get to have wealth because of it too. Like, it's one thing if it's earned, because I think you can earn wealth. You can earn wealth. That's why the markets exist. That's why people create products. But you didn't earn anything if you were just like the descendant of a king or a queen. You literally did nothing. Anyways, let's just get back into the markets. It's 11 o'clock. We're going to throw over to the midday in a quick little second. Just want to jump to two things that I'm looking at here. One will be SMCI. If it holds this 30, I might take another scalp trade in here or wait for that volume weighted average price. And then, whoops, I know this will be the same thing that Joe was looking at, but I'll be looking at it in a different direction. All morning long, trend down on IBIT. And now look at how it's holding support. It's holding support at about 76.4, 76.5, somewhere along those lines. But look at all of this consolidation. If this breaks the trend up, I'd look long into VWAP. Those are a couple of things that I'm watching. As we throw it to the midday, I still haven't decided. Someone said you should get pizza. That's not bad. I'm thinking that, and maybe grab a quick little burger for lunch. Be back hopefully for the lesson of the day. I'm not out of the walk, but I'll come back to the lesson of the day. Then we'll be back at 2 o'clock as this market tries to catch some bids. Can it? Only time will tell. These chips are going to have to do some of the heavy lifting.
I'm going up on Loadout Tuesday.
And I know Seagate's not Micron, it's not SanDisk, but that is a little weird when you try to piece together exactly what's happening. It's to hold prices up. Yeah, but then that's a boom and bust then. If they're trying to artificially make the demand larger than what it is by keeping the supply low to keep their gross margins up, eventually that collapses. Like, there's no if and or buts about it. Eventually that story dies out at some point. Which then begs the question, can you hold Seagate or Micron or SanDisk for the next 10 years? Like, someone tell me the flaw in that argument. Chief Executive Officer says building new factories would take too long, which means he's not willing to make the investment because he doesn't think, theoretically, in 5 years that NVIDIA is going to need as much memory. Otherwise, if NVIDIA needs it for the next 5-10 years, why would you not set up more factories? How would you not invest? And then it says if it's going to create more capacity than needed, then you're assuming eventually it's going to go boom bust because we're not going to need as much memory as people are saying we are. How is Corning not cyclical? No, the photonics plays are also cyclical, but the photonics plays are in an industry that's expanding rapidly. Whereas the memory story has been known for a while, right? The photonics story really this year started getting attention as demand for photonics versus copper started ramping up. Now, memory also starting to get a lot of attention this year, but the point is, the memory story is pretty well known, and a lot of the alpha has already been priced in, and the boom and bust on memory has been a lot more aggressive. But the photonics are also cyclical. All of these are cyclical, is my point. The question is, what part of the cycle are we in, and how much have individual stocks massively appreciated and brought forward that earnings growth of the quote-unquote cycle, if it is that cyclical. Now, the other side of this equation is that the Seagate CEO is wrong, and his company in particular is getting the boom bust nature of the cycle incorrectly. And the Micron CEO, if you've listened to Sanjay talk, says we can barely supply to the hyperscalers, and this is going to be a very long story, and earnings might not fall off a cliff in 2028. But when you hear comments like that, it definitely begs a question of what exactly is going on here, and how is it playing out? Again, I'm open to hearing the response. What is the response? Why is the Seagate CEO saying building new factories would take too long and potentially set up the company with more capacity than needed? NVIDIA's not saying, yeah, we're not going to stop. We have too many GPUs. We don't need to make more. We don't need to invest more in our supply chain to make more GPUs. No, they're investing every last penny they have to make more GPUs. Same thing with Intel on CPUs. Same thing with AMD on CPUs. So I'm a bit more curious about that. Energy cyclical as well. Well, energy, I'm not sure energy is in the same type of cycle as some of the components of the chips, because you need the energy for the data center to function, and we're putting up more and more data centers. It'll definitely be a cycle. I don't know if the energy stocks are priced as if the cycle has peaked already, especially because, you know, the bottleneck around energy seems to be a bit more intense. At least that's what Jensen said over the weekend. Jensen did a talk at Stanford, and he spent a lot of time talking about the energy bottleneck as well. Kind of made a right argument. He can't tell the future. He thinks demand won't last 5 years. Yeah, but that's scary. Like, demand should be, again, Micron's at $1 trillion, basically, 900 billion. Like, if you're buying it at $1 trillion, you should assume the pathway to 2, 3, 4 trillion is possible, which means you can't buy something at that valuation and assume it can't massively grow over the coming years. Like, it has to be able to grow over the coming years. Because they have to have sustainability of earnings, right? That's the whole point. You're buying Google at 400. You assume that Google will sustain their earnings growth over the coming years. Even if the growth slows down, they will still grow. And, you know, they won't go from 20% growth to 2% growth randomly. And even if they do, they're going to buy back a lot of their stock, right? There's got to be like a reason to stay bullish on that earnings story. SPY right there, 737.
Everything's dumping.
That continues to go red. Colorado public health officials are investigating the death of an adult resident as a result of hantavirus. Oh boy. We haven't talked too much about hantavirus. I hope we don't have to. I hope we don't have to keep talking about it. But we have to keep monitoring if that continues to get worse. Axios, Iran's new offer is insufficient and it risks war resumption, as per a senior U.S. official. You know, that's probably why we're continuing to see oil go up right there. Axios, senior U.S. official, Iran's offer is insufficient and risks military escalation again. Oh, Cactus, is that official? U.S. rejects latest Iran peace proposal ahead of situation. Goodness, bro, what an absolute... If this is accurate, if this is legit, that the U.S. has rejected that proposal, which means the Axios quote I just read was also probably legit, then the pre-market pump was literally a pump and dump. That means that was just purely manufactured headlines that we were getting a deal, which, you know, we dealt with in March many, many times, and we're actually not. Maybe that's why Trump tweeted the whole fake news post that he just put out. I was trying to see the optimistic side of it, but he just tweeted again. The worst congressman in the long and storied history of the Republican Party is Thomas Massie. He's an obstructionist and a fool. Vote him out of office tomorrow, Tuesday. It will be a great day for America. Okay. There you go. It's because Korea is better at making memory than the US. There is this memory narrative bias. It's a cartel-controlled commodity, according to Google. Didn't the CEO of Seagate said they would rather invest in new technology rather than fabs? Yeah, but that means their business would have to diversify heavily from what they're doing right now, which is fair. And that's actually probably a bull thesis, but that also means their earnings power is going to have to change dramatically. Investors will have to feel confident that they can grow outside of their core business in 5 years. But to your point about the Koreans, yeah, I mean, Samsung and SK Hynix, you know, it is basically a duopoly on memory in that country. But their stocks have appreciated rapidly because of the amount of demand that's out there. But again, how many fabs are they going to create as well when it comes to the impact of what those fabs could be on global memory prices? Google right there, 402.93. Is Cloudflare at 160? No, it's at 200. Okay, Cloudflare is holding on. 160 would have been a buy on Cloudflare. It dipped at 184 on earnings. Where's Akamai? That is at 150. Okay, so that's relatively flat. Was the strike issue solved with Samsung? To an extent. The courts gave them a bunch of approvals yesterday, so I don't think it's officially resolved. It's resolved enough to where Samsung flipped green last night, but not fully. The move index is rocketing. That is correct. Let me pull up a picture of the move index. This index is actually really important. So this is essentially VIX for bonds. And the volatility of bonds have been pretty bad. Year to date, wow, look at that. We're up 28%. Today, we're up another 4%. You don't want bonds being super volatile, right? Because like it's the cost of financing the country. But obviously, you're seeing a lot more energy there. We're talking about a highly elastic item. He can't compete with the supply from others after 3 years. Yeah, dude, I don't understand the memory story that well, so that's why I'm staying away. I feel like it's appreciated. So again, if Micron gets to stupid prices, I feel like it would be more exciting, but it's really tough for me to hold this when I don't understand the cycle, and I'm not going to blindly believe people that this time it's different. You could say that for AI as a thesis, because I believe in AI. I don't know if certain parts of the AI stack, it's going to always be different. Like, you can't say AMD and Micron are the same. They're obviously incredibly different. And AMD creates a very specialized product that is highly differentiated. You can't say Nebius and Iren are the same. You know, both part of the AI stack, but one has been winning and one has been losing. There are certain elements. Now, Micron is a really important one. And again, I think Micron will be fine over the coming months. I don't think this thing is collapsing by 50%. It's just the upside at these levels. The same for SanDisk. Like the upside on these levels is a little hard to stomach given how much they've appreciated. I mean, would you sell CoreWeave to redeploy into more Amazon? Depends on when you bought CoreWeave, right? If I'm looking for capital appreciation, no, because Amazon, it's done well this year, but I mean, it's compared to the AI names, it's been absolutely crap. So I think CoreWeave gets to 150 way quicker than Amazon can get to like 320. It's also Amazon, the much larger company. Safety-wise, obviously, yeah, I think Amazon's a better bet. I do think Amazon 300 by the end of the year is still possible. It's just every time this one makes a move, it's not like Google. You know, Google makes a move, gives back a little bit of it, then comes back and then like stays at a new level. Amazon, you know, we thought 275 was broken and then it just can't get back above 270 and stay there. But it still is up 18%. Iren is up 1,000% in the last 12 months, but apparently it's losing. Yeah, but again, how many people bought Iren at $3, $4? Like, come on, guys. I can admit Palantir's a loser this year. And I'm not going to be like, well, if you scroll out 5 years, Palantir's up 2,000%. It's like, well, not a lot of people bought and held at 7, 6. Not a lot of people knew about it at that time. So, yeah, if you're an OG Iren shareholder and your cost basis is 5, you don't give a shit. But most people did not buy this thing at $5. Like, let's just be honest. And so in comparison to the price action, and I say this as someone who has some Iren at $43, but we got to be objective here. What's the headline on Zeta? I don't think there's any headline on Zeta. I didn't see any headline on Zeta today. Well, that's still up 9%. Do you think the upside to NVIDIA is higher than Micron or SanDisk? No, I think the upside is on Micron or SanDisk, but the safety of holding NVIDIA to me is easier to stomach than Micron and SanDisk. Again, they will all go down if they go down together, but I think NVIDIA won't get nuked. At the same time, you know, Micron went from 300 to 800, NVIDIA went from 190 to 200. So obviously the alpha was in Micron. But it's just this narrative that people are like, I'm going to hold Micron for the next 5 years. I'm like, okay, I can stomach holding NVIDIA for the next 5 years. I don't know if I can stomach holding some of these more cyclical names for the next 5 years. But maybe this cycle again truly is different, and every name in the cycle goes up. It's just there's a lot of due diligence to be done there to kind of make sense of that. AMD 419 is that is still down. What is your take on T1 Energy? I have not looked into this one. There is actually a big retail community on this name, and I think it peaked at like $9 back in January. It's one I think this and Fuel Cell deserve a little bit more attention to go deeper into when it comes to the energy names. Obviously, Bloom has taken off. Bloom right back up, or sorry, right back down 5%, 250. Is this the lowest we've seen Bloom? No, the lowest was on May 8th at 249. Okay, so May 8th was a pretty ugly day for all the semis. So we're basically testing those May 8th levels today. And we got to see if we break those or we hold above it. When the CapEx stops, the cash flow is going to the companies that were spending the CapEx. Yes, I agree. That is your Meta, Microsoft, Google, Amazon thesis. But when the CapEx stops, I am kind of scared, bro. Because when the CapEx stops, you know, decisively, all the semiconductor names, they're going to get wrecked. Like, we all know they're going to get, unless they've been able to build a business model that is differentiated enough to not need the CapEx. Like, all the picks and shovels are going down. All the Max 7s theoretically should have a lot of free cash flow to go up. And then the other big concern is, like, if the CapEx stops or like significantly slows down, have we reached AGI? Have we solved all the things we need to solve? Which I find hard to believe that's going to happen over the next couple of years. So hopefully it's a 2030 story versus 2028, 2029. You know, the party continues to keep going. And then, yeah, Jensen, he would disagree. He would say the CapEx is probably not stopping anytime soon. This is what he was saying at the Stanford conference around energy and AI more broadly.
The amount of energy that we need for computing is likely, probably 1,000 times more than we currently have. And that's an enormous amount of energy. However, the way to think about that is in the future, computers are going to be two things. It's always going to be generated because it's intelligent, it's contextually aware. So it's going to be generated. And then number two, it's going to be continuous. And so there's generative computing in a continuous way compared to pre-recorded retrieval-based computing that is only initiated on, per use. The question is, how do you think about the amount of energy necessary for that? So I think if you say we need it 1,000 times, I wouldn't be surprised that we're off by a couple of orders of magnitude. And so we need a lot more compute. We need a lot more energy. And so you got to go and explain this to people. And so you got to explain it to people in a way that's kind of common sense and they can observe it. And there are, indicators along the way that in fact this is happening. And notice, just as I was breaking it down for you guys, I'm reasoning about it for you so it's common sense to you. And so the amount of energy is high. And then lastly, the source of energy. There's all kinds of sources of energy, but unfortunately, because of great concerns about the cost of sustainable energy, we underinvested in sustainable energy. But this is the best time ever in the history of humanity to go and invest in sustainable energy. And the reason for that is because the market forces are so strong. Back in the old days, you needed government subsidies to go build solar farms and government subsidies to go build nuclear plants. And now you can just, market will pay you to do it. And so market forces are so powerful right now. This is our best chance to upgrade our grid, our archaic grid, add sustainable energy of all kinds, and
He's right. I mean, our grid across the country and quite frankly across the world is archaic. And so if AI is the catalyst to make the upgrade, there's a reason why some of those names like Enphase, microinverters and the new product they released last week was the reason it was up. But you would imagine we need all sources of energy, and that could present an opportunity. Here's the FCC chair. He's live right now talking about SpaceX and EchoStar as the IPO comes up.
Without the need for a middleman, a first for the company. AT&T will use the new spectrum to expand service in rural and underserved areas. The FCC calling the deal a, quote, win for America's leadership in next-gen connectivity. Joining us now in a CNBC exclusive, FCC Chairman Brendan Carr. Chair Carr, welcome back. It's good to have you.
Yeah, good to be with you. Thanks so much.
So on this deal, what is your vision, and how do you convince the public that you're not just